Today we're going to be looking at perhaps the most misunderstood character in Game of Thrones, Viserys Targaryen. When people think of Viserys Targaryen, a few words usually come to mind. Cruel, entitled, weak. But that's only half the story. He's a tragic product of fear, isolation, and a nightmarish childhood that no one should have to endure. Let's start from the very beginning, and I mean the very beginning, the day Viserys was born. Most people don't realise that Viserys' childhood was nightmare fuel from day one. I'm going to read you something from The World of Ice and Fire that will blow your mind, and this is paraphrased. The birth of Prince Viserys only seemed to make Aerys II more fearful and obsessive. Even the Queen herself was forbidden to be alone with the infant. Let that sink in. Viserys' own mother wasn't allowed to be alone with him. The quote continues, "The Kingsguard knights were ordered to stand over the babe night and day. Gifts that came from all over the realm for the new prince were piled up in the yard and burned on Aerys' order, as the king feared they may be cursed." Think about what this means. From his very first breath, Viserys was raised in an atmosphere of paranoia and fear. He never experienced normal parental bonding. He never felt safe. He was surrounded by armed guards watching his every move, treating him like a fragile object that might shatter at any moment. This wasn't a prince being groomed for greatness. This was a child being raised in a gilded cage by a madman. Then, when Viserys was just 7 or 8 years old, his entire world collapsed. Robert's rebellion destroyed everything. His father, yes, he was a mad king, nevertheless the only father he knew, was stabbed in the back. His older brother Rhaegar, who he idolized and looked up to, was killed by Robert Baratheon. At 8 years old, Viserys became the last Targaryen male, responsible for a newborn sister with assassins hunting them and the entire realm celebrating his family's destruction. Imagine being 8 years old and being told, everyone you know is dead, everyone wants to kill you, oh, and you're responsible for a baby. By the way, you're also the rightful king of Westeros, but you have nothing. And this is where the books give us the details that really reframe everything during his years of exile. Viserys and Daenerys spent years being shuffled from one free city to another. They had no power, no home, and no money. They were constantly on the run, depending on the charity of people who saw them as either exotic curiosities or potential pawns. They called him the Beggar King, and he was begging for food, for shelter, for anything. And here's the moment that really gets me. Daenerys remembers their exile, and she has this thought about her brother. When Viserys sold their mother's crown, the last joy had gone from him, leaving only rage. Their mother's crown, one of the last precious things connecting them to their family, to their mother who died bringing Daenerys into the world, to who they were supposed to be, and Viserys had to sell it to keep them alive, to keep them fed. I think this quote tells us everything we need to know about what broke Viserys. He wasn't born a monster. He was a scared child trying to protect his baby sister. But that act, that sacrifice, broke something in him. Because what was the point? He'd given up everything, sold everything, suffered everything, and they were still beggars, still running and still hunted. The dream of reclaiming the throne was all he had left, became his obsession, because without it, all this suffering meant nothing. His mother's crown sold for nothing. His sister's future sold to Dothraki for nothing. The boy who sold his mother's crown to feed his sister, and the man who threatened that same sister's unborn child, they're the same person, just separated by years of unprocessed trauma. Years of bitterness fermenting into rage. And when we compare him to other Targaryens, we fail to look at the context. He didn't have any wise maesters or masters at arms raising him. He had no one. If you switched him out and put him, a few generations before, let's say he was a son of Jaehaerys, and he had someone raising him, someone looking out for him, he could have turned out very different. And I do want to clarify, this isn't an excuse for the horrible things he's done, this is just an explanation. But thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.